Hello, I'm Marlis Arnold, trade show marketing consultant and author of the book, Build a Better Trade Show Image. Welcome to the Trade Show Insights podcast with news, tips, and tools to expand your knowledge of exhibiting. Today our topic is promotional products, and we're going to hear from an expert what's hot, what's not, and what's smart to use for promotional products in your next trade show marketing campaign. Today we welcome Ben Baker as our guest. He's a branding consultant and the president of CMYK Solutions. Ben, thanks for joining us.
My pleasure. Thanks, Miles. Thanks for having me on the show.
Oh, you're welcome. Well, Ben, you are an expert in the area of promotional products, so let's just kind of jump right in and talk a little bit about what are some good strategies. I know a lot of exhibitors make a mistake with promotional products, and they just, let's get T-shirts or let's get pens, and they don't really have any conscious strategy behind what they're using. So what do you recommend to your clients?
No, it's true. Gone are the days of just throwing a promotion out there, hoping that it works, and if you made money on it, you made money on it. If you didn't make money on it, you didn't make money on it. It's all about ROI today. It's all about what's my return on investment. And the only way to be able to take a look at positive return on investment is to have a strategy. You need to make sure that whatever promotional marketing piece that you're going to put out there in the market tells people who you are, reminds them who you are, and has a call to action, i.e. it pushes people to your website, it has your phone number, preferably both, it has your tagline, it reminds people of who you are, what you do, and why they should contact you on a regular basis.
Well, and it's got to be something worth keeping, too.
Absolutely.
I mean, it drives me crazy to go to a show and I get a pen at somebody's booth and I can't even sit through one workshop that afternoon and take notes because the pen dies. Well, I just toss it. Well, that's done no good at all.
Well, that's true. I mean, there's a difference between giving away a 69-cent pen, a Mont Blanc, and something in between. Mm-hmm. A lot of people just sit there and say, okay, I've got 25,000 people coming to the show. I need something that's cheap and cheerful, that I have lots of, that I can just give out. Hey, we'll give out pens with our name on it. Everybody needs a pen. Well, the truth of the matter is everybody's got a pen.
Exactly.
Statistics say that every pen will see 7 people's hands before it's thrown in the garbage. The question is that a 3-second scribble and then tossed, or are people going to say, hey, that's a nice pen? If you're going to give away a pen, make sure it's something that tells people of the value you perceive that they are to you. Mm-hmm. Now, giving somebody a cheap pen means that, well, you don't really have a lot of value to me as a client. I have a client of mine that only gives away Mont Blanc fountain pens. Now, he spends $450 a pen.
Wow.
However, he inks $150,000 to $450,000 deals.
Right.
So when he's giving away those type of pens, it's to somebody that's given him $450,000 worth of business.
Exactly.
So he's giving them the value. Now, you can buy some really nice pens in the $1 to $1.50 range. They're a little bit more money. They have a little bit more of a unique feel and look and quality to them. But they're going to last, and people are going to sit there and say, you know what, I'm going to put this in my breast pocket. I'm going to actually use this in my purse. I'm going to actually put it in my briefcase. And they're actually going to use it because that's something that they see of value.
Well, exactly. And like you said, it makes a statement of, quality, and it reflects back on your company that, hey, this is a classy company. Whereas, if you're giving away, and, we kind of picked pens as an example, but there's a lot of other types of giveaways that come across as being really cheap and actually have a negative impression, create a negative impression of the company. And I think a lot of times exhibitors aren't even aware of the fact that they're hurting their reputation rather than helping it.
Exactly. I was with a client the other day, and a new client, and he is the brand new director of marketing for a company. And he opened up a drawer, and he started pulling things out of the drawer, and he put probably about 15 different promotional items on the table.
Mm-hmm.
He said, Ben, you know what our company does. Do any of these things represent our company? I said, not one. He said, exactly. But these were things that people in the previous job had just sit there and said, you know what? They thought they were cute or geeky or whatever or inexpensive, and therefore they bought 500 or 1,000 of these things and started handing them out.
Yeah.
But they have no tie back to the company itself, so therefore there's no relevance to them, and therefore there's no way of tying that particular promotional item back to the company and having that type of memory trigger.
Mm-hmm.
Conversely, if it's a cheap thing, it can have. You're right; it has an absolutely adverse effect. Going back to pens, I know a company that bought cheap pens. There was an insurance company. They bought 10,000 cheap pens. 2,000 of them failed in people's pockets. That was a lot of dry cleaning bills.
Ooh, yeah, that's bad.
So it's really important to have somebody on board that understands, first of all, who are you, what do you do, why are you doing it, what's the message you're trying to put forward, who are you trying to communicate to, and what are you trying to communicate them to, and be able to sit there and say, this is a good promotional product, this is a bad promotional product.
Well, and not only that, but also thinking about the audience. You know, what would your audience appreciate? What would they use? And what works? Because I've seen exhibitors get, like, at construction shows or something, and it's logical, it ties in, but it's those big wooden square yardsticks, you know,
yep.
These big chunky yardsticks. Well, nobody can take those on a plane, so you leave the convention center or the hotel or wherever, it's like this whole garden of yardsticks sticking out of the trash can. Well, that's a big waste. You know, but again, it's because somebody just like, oh, wouldn't this be clever? You know, and they don't really stop and think. It's like, oh, these aren't going to make it home.
That's right. Well, the other thing right now is that we're converting all of our clients over right now who do go to conventions, that the convention organizers are now providing the entire convention materials on a USB drive.
Mm-hmm.
So everybody is now, instead of getting these huge binders that everybody at the end of a conference was always trying to figure out, how am I going to get these things home, and am I ever going to really look through all this stuff? They get a small USB drive that's 2 gig or 4 gig, and it's got all the conference material on it, all the videos, all the PowerPoint presentations, everything that they can literally slip in their pocket.
Right.
You know, and there's huge value in that. Or conversely, if the conference doesn't have the same type of budget, you can do the same thing with a web key. It looks like a USB key, but what it does when you plug it in, it goes directly to the conference website. And
interesting.
You can go, and that's all it does is it goes to the conference website, and all the latest, greatest materials can be on there. So every time you plug this thing in, it will show you the latest stuff that's now online for the conference you were at, so you can download it. So it all depends on what's your budget.
Right.
And what are you trying to say to people?
Well, so since we're on that topic and you're talking about some of the latest tools and gadgets out there, what are some things right now that are hot, or what's not in promotional items? What are some things that you've seen just coming out that are great new ideas?
The new idea is I go to a trade show every year down in Vegas, and there's 1,500 suppliers of mine trying to sell me promotional products. Okay,
mind-boggling.
So, exactly. It's 13 miles of show floor and about 1 million square feet.
Wow.
There might be 100 vendors out there just selling pens. So it's all about trying to stand out.
Mm-hmm.
I saw a new set of, to me it's all about stuff that's useful, and it's going to sit on your desk and it's going to stay on your desk. A lot of my clients are corporate.
Mm-hmm.
So therefore, the people that they're trying to influence and the people that are going to be decision makers are on their desk. And there's a lot of really good value USB type items right now that are out on the market that are anywhere between $10 and $25 that will stay on the desk, that will show value and have do other things. One thing that we found is there's a USB emulator button. So if you tap it, what it does is it plugs into a standard USB port. You tap it once and it goes to one website. You tap it twice and it goes to a second website. So therefore, you could have the first one could be your standard web page. It just brings up your standard web page. The second one could be a contest-only website. So if you want to see what the latest, greatest promotions are, the only way you're going to get to that page is by having this USB emulator attached to your computer.
Interesting.
So you're giving the client a reason to have something that's on your desk that lights up, that has your logo on it, so they're constantly remembering who you are, and they have to actually physically hit this thing like the easy button to be able to go to to a website that is only for them, that has contests or competitions or discounts that they can only get by having this thing plugged into their computer.
Well, it's kind of like a VIP backstage pass.
Exactly. Exactly. So those are the type of things right now where I'm finding that people are looking at something that is going to stay on your desktop, something that is going to remind people of who you are and has relevance in today. The green products definitely are being, across the board, everything from corporate clothing to promotional pens to all sorts of giveaways. People are looking for greener promotions. They're looking for things, and the difference you need to look at is, are you greenwashing or are you truly green? Which means, are you just want to be perceived as being green, or do you really want to take a look at the entire life cycle of a piece before it goes in the garbage? And when it goes in the garbage, is it recyclable or is it biodegradable?
Right.
And they're very different. And a lot of it comes down to, who are you as a company, and what is the message that you want to say as a company? And you want to make sure that people sit there and say, oh, the trade show bag, oh, that's a biodegradable bag. Oh, they were actually thinking about that when I actually get rid of this bag, it's just going to biodegrade. That's kind of neat. This is a neat company. I should do business with them.
Well, and that's true. Like you said, it all reflects back on your corporate image, how you want your company to be perceived. And you've got to think through all those kinds of underlying messages as to what that product is going to be saying about you.
Very true.
So what are some other ideas as far as, using promotional products? Because everybody thinks of them as just being, let's hand out stuff in our booth. And we talked about how that could be good or bad. But what are some other ways they can use promotional products through the whole trade show marketing process?
We do a lot of two-level promotional products where if you actually have, and this is something that I suggest to a lot of my clients, if you're going to have two levels of people that are going to come to your booth. You're going to have your looky-loos, people that are just wanting to look at every booth and see what's out there, and you're going to have people that are actually potential buyers and people that are actually interested in what you do. They see value in what you do, and they're looking to take you to the next step. Have something of a little higher quality and a little higher price sitting behind the desk somewhere or behind the trade show booth that you can pull out and give to these people, that so when they walk away, they know that they're getting something special. You're not going to give this out to everybody. If you're going to give away 5,000 of one thing, you might give away 200 of the other.
Right.
These are A-list potential clients, and these are the people that we want to be able to impress. These are the people that we want to show the value of what we do, and these are the type of things we're going to give away. We had a client that gave away, they're a hydroelectric power company, and they gave away a clock that runs on water.
Oh, smart.
So it's a clock that you could either put beer or water or whatever into this thing, and it runs and it charges the battery. So it's a total eco-friendly
perfectly logical tie-in.
Absolutely, great tie-in for them. They loved it, and it really put them in a differential around the trade show booth because people actually talked about this piece after the show. And that's what it's about is getting people to talk about you after the show.
Exactly.
Because I don't know, I'll go back to the booth, the show that I go to every year. If I don't get a catalog of who's presenting at that show, 90% of the people at that show I'll have forgotten.
Mm-hmm.
Just because you get overwhelmed, and everybody does.
Right.
It doesn't matter if it's 1,500 vendors or 400 vendors or 200 vendors. You're going to remember the really good and the really bad.
This is true.
And everything in between, is going to be forgotten.
Mm-hmm.
So the question is, how can you become that 1% or 5% that are the really good, that people are going to sit there and say, hey, I like these people. I like what they're about. They're putting together a really professional image. I should get back in touch with them and see how we can do business together.
Exactly. Well, and like you said, the promotional products are just one piece of that overall strategy. I mean, you can't expect that one item to do all the work for you. It has to be, like you said, a reflection of your overall brand and your overall, your company message. And I think that's what exhibitors forget a lot of times, and that's one of the things I always teach in my workshops is, you don't want to just throw a whole bunch of stuff out on the table and create what I call scoop and run syndrome, where people just come by and, grab a pen or a stress ball or whatever, throw it in their bag, and off they go. The whole idea of the promotional products is that it's a gift to thank somebody for spending time in your booth.
Correct.
And I think that's the element that exhibitors forget most often, is that it's not about handing out 5,000 of something. It's about handing out to maybe 500 people that they're quality contacts, and you've really spent some time, and you've got some kind of a rapport with them.
Exactly. Where we do most of our consulting is developing trade show strategies for our clients, because what most people don't understand is the trade show itself is only 30% of the actual work. It is the time spent planning for the trade show, implementing that strategy, and having a post-show strategy that is the most important part of the actual trade show itself.
Mm-hmm.
The day you walk back into the office doesn't mean the trade show's over.
No.
The 2 or 3 days that you spend after the trade show cleaning up the leads, getting them into a list that's proper, and getting out a pre-designed direct mail package or email blast or whatever out to these people that say, you know what, thank you very much, and personalize it.
Mm-hmm.
The software's out there. It's easy. It's inexpensive. You personalize it to say, you know what, we really appreciate you, Mr. Customer, coming by our booth. These were the type of things that we want you to remember about us. We'd really like the opportunity to get to know you, and I'd like to give you a call in 2 weeks to follow up with you. Because it's all about follow-up and follow-through. The trade show piece is just your foot in the door.
Right.
All it does
introduction.
is it's an introduction piece. It's a goodwill gesture. It gives people a trigger to say, oh, yeah, I remember them. They're the people who gave me X. But it's the spending the time before the show to make sure you're inviting the right people to the show and that you're giving the right communicative message before the show. During the show, everybody's got to be talking on point. The trade show booth has to be telling the story that you wanted to tell. The promotional piece you're giving away has to tell the right story. The booth has to be set up in a way that it's easy and comfortable for people to be invited into. You have to have people in the booth that can talk intelligently on this thing. Do not train new staff as part of a trade show. Your new staff should not be anywhere near your trade show booth. Mm-hmm. They are the people that maybe all they do is they stand outside the booth and they invite people into the booth, but you need people inside the booth that can talk intelligently about what you do and be able to move people to the next step.
Exactly.
And after the trade show, you got to be able to follow up. If you don't follow up, if you don't follow through, you've wasted your money going to the show.
Well, and that's where your promotional product can help you in that it's a memory trigger. When you follow up, like you said, if you've done a good job with whatever gift you've given away, when you follow up, people are going to go, oh, yeah, this was the booth where I got, X gift.
And reference it.
Yeah, and so they're gonna connect that, and rather than you follow up and like you said, your booth was just one of 400 on the show floor that they don't really remember. I mean, the promotional product can help to set you apart and reinforce that memory, that positive memory of spending time.
As long as it's unique and as long as it triggers people to remember who you are.
Exactly.
It has to tie back to who you are as a company. There's nothing wrong with a stress ball. We have a company that we deal with that cleans up oil spills. We give out a stress ball oil drum for them. It works.
Mm-hmm.
People know exactly what they do and why they do it. And it's fun, and they throw these things around the trade show floor, and they throw them at people in the aisles, and they have a lot of fun with it, and people remember it.
Right.
But it's got to tie back to who you are and what you do.
Right, exactly. Well, and that's the whole thing. Again, people, they don't put enough thought into it. They just go, oh, this is cute. Let's get like you said, the guy that had 15 different things in his drawer. It's like, oh, this is cute. Oh, this is fun. Oh, we saw this done last year, blah, blah, blah. And it's not, they never really sit down and analyze, okay, what really would carry our message the best? So I think that's probably the key point that you would agree with me, that if exhibitors would just spend a little more time, they'd get a lot more bang for their buck on their giveaways.
Exactly. And another thing you asked is, where's another good place to use promotional marketing? Good promotional marketing piece is a great way to get past or make friends with the gatekeeper. When you're out there making sales calls, 15 years ago, I used to be the head of Kinko's in Western Canada. And what we did is we had 8 different pens with different colors that had highlighters on the back of them. And every time we went to go see somebody, we gave them a different colored pen with a different color highlighter. So therefore, they at one time had 8 or 10 different highlighters, all with our name on it, all with our phone number on it. So every time she was picking up a highlighter or a pen, she was thinking about our company.
Exactly.
So when we walked in the door, we were the guy that were giving her something neat that was just for her. It wasn't for her boss.
Right.
It wasn't for the director of sales. It was specifically for her.
Right.
And you know what? Make friends with the gatekeepers, and it's amazing how much information they can give you. That's true.
And like you said, that's one of the things that they're going to appreciate, is something that you've put some thought into that they would actually use.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Ben, thank you so much. Any final thoughts that you want to add that we haven't had time to cover yet?
Yeah, my thing is have fun. Just remember, on my website alone, there are over 500,000 items.
Wow.
In promotional marketing. So to think that you have to give away the same old pen or the same old mug or the same old T-shirt, there are so many different options, and there are so many different ways you can go. It's a matter of bringing in somebody that's in the industry, somebody from either the ASI or the PPAI industries who know this business, that understand the possibilities, and work with you as a partner. Mm-hmm. They're not providing you with a commodity; they're providing you with a solution.
Exactly.
And it's working with somebody that you trust, that's been in the industry for a number of years, that has a reputation of not just taking your order, but is sitting there going to sit down and ask you the questions of, who are you, what do you do, and why do you do it?
Mm-hmm.
And if you got somebody that can ask you those questions, they're probably going to be able to come up with some really fun, interesting things that are going to fit your budget. They're going to tell people what you do, and are going to be remembered by your clients and customers.
And that's the whole point of promotional products. So
absolutely.
Well, Ben, thank you very much for being our guest today. And again, Ben is the president of CMYK Solutions, and we appreciate your time.
Thanks a lot. I appreciate all your help.
Trade Show Insights is protected by the Creative Commons copyright license. You may feel free to share this recording with colleagues as long as it is shared in its entirety and is not used for commercial purposes. To learn more, please see the link in the show notes. Well, that's it for this episode of Trade Show Insights. Be sure to check out our show notes at tradeshowinsights.com. Until next time, I'm Marlis Arnold. Thanks for listening.